Welcome everyone, welcome to a new market update. And today it's still a bull cycle as we are currently seeing green candles everywhere as altcoins are running further, and the most common question being asked is, do you expect the correction to happen as I still need to buy in? Key lesson here is to stop listening to everybody that's saying something on YouTube. Also be critical towards me, but in general towards many of those YouTubers, influencers that were calling extreme numbers while we're just in a bull cycle. Bitcoin at 54k is not a bear market. We are just having a very substantial corrective move in which altcoins were dropping 50%, and now Bitcoin bounced back up. And as stated previously, altcoins are heavily outperforming Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is most likely going to make a range-bound construction, and during those months altcoins will do well. And that's why the title of this YouTube video is going to be Altcoins are ready to explode, and we'll be discussing a few of them. So do not forget to also subscribe beneath and like this video, as that's helping me a lot to get towards that 100k subscriber target, which is going really fast as I'm currently doing YouTube videos for about 5 to 6 months full time. And we're already at 70k plus. But what do we see? Let's get to the charts. As Bitcoin indeed lost this, we've discussed this. Bitcoin lost the critical level on a daily time frame, but if you zoom out and you check the weekly, you can see that it's not really a bear market, right? It's just a very healthy bounce back up. You could even argue that there's the hidden bullish divergence. I saw it coming up on Twitter again already. But the important part is that we have to look at the daily. So what we see on the daily, we do see that we've got this entire range construction with the low that pretty much got front run. We also have this range resistance area that most likely will not be breaking up in one go. So these are pretty critical levels that we have to watch. Then also on the daily, we're currently in a resistance zone that is most likely not going to have a breakthrough. So this entire region that we see here on the daily, that's most likely going to be a resistance in which we have some upwards moves and then sideways, and then we continue to move. Pretty much comparable to what we witnessed in the entire construction after the halving of Bitcoin in May 2020, in which we also saw those sideways movements in which these levels became resistance, and therefore you couldn't really see continuation. You can also see on the other side that these critical levels become support, right? So what do we see here? We do pretty much see the same. If Bitcoin is able to crack this resistance zone in one go, I think it's very bullish, and then we're going to test any of those range highs. But most likely we're going to have a retest of this level here, in which we just have a sideways construction. And as stated in the past videos as well, once we get such a sideways construction, you will be very likely seeing altcoins outperforming or bouncing heavier than Bitcoin. What does the 4 hours say? Well, not much difference than the daily. You can see that the block becomes a little different as the wicks are heavier here. But pretty much this entire region here is a compression period that you should be aware of as a potential resistance area. So the nature of people on social media is that once we get to support, they become bearish. They have been stating a bear market. And then once we get to resistance, it's bull cycle again. It's just like being an algorithm that just flips at the wrong moment. So if you counter trade it, you'll probably make profits, and that's usually what happens in the range-bound construction, in which people become bullish at resistance and bearish at support. Flip that mindset and you'll be outperforming almost everyone. So Bitcoin is doing this, and then we've got some altcoins that have been discussed heavily or has been into points of interest, and I've seen many questions regarding them on social media too. One of them, and it's an entire group, it's HOLO token, Dent, PundiX, BitTorrent, Wink, Win, all those tokens, in which you can see that during this upwards run, everybody becomes interested, and usually we'll see skyrocket numbers in which we're going to the moon. While you should actually be using the information that you have on the left side to gather entry points that you want to take on the right side. So This is a first entry point. Usually that's just day trading. If you really want to get swing trade opportunities, these blocks are the levels that you want to see. And as you can see, we've got there. And since that point, we've actually made a bounce of 91% and getting into a resistance zone, as anything in this region is most likely going to act as resistance. Point I'm trying to make is that once you start to avoid having FOMO, you get a better entry point. So if you get the entry point in anything like this region and you have to be patient, the downside is relatively limited while the upside is skyrocketing. So your risk-reward ratio is very profitable. In taking the entry around here, your upside might be towards here, but your downside is relatively high, through which this becomes a very risky play and not really profitable trade to make, as the downside is significantly higher than the upside. So you have to be right way more often to be profitable. So for instance, if this upside is +1, and the downside is -2, this one, if you have this one right for 3 times and this one wrong, so the trade goes wrong 2 times, you're still not making profit. While on the flip side, if you take the entry here and you have a loss of -1 and a plus of 4, you can still be wrong 3 times and be profitable if you take one good trade. So that mindset should be relatively important to you if you're a newcomer to the market. Next to that, do I assume that we're going to have a new cycle of altcoins? Yes. Do I assume that tokens like HOLO token can do another run? Yes, for sure. But I'm not assuming that we're going to have this breaker here. I think we're going to have some more sideways action and then we start to accelerate. While other altcoins that did not have this breakout yet will do the breakout. So if you have some arguments like Swipe or coins like Swipe, it shows that the critical level that it had to hold on to, which is this area around 6,000 sats, is pretty much holding right now. Getting the 100 MA and 200 MA on the table, it's just beautifully flipping those two, and we can see a bullish cross, and we can see an accumulation that's increasing. So most likely we will just start targeting and starting to run up, in which the next target zones are easily defined already. And as the fact is that Swipe is still down 80% from the all-time high in Bitcoin pair, that's way more upside to be expected. And even if we get this run, it's already 150%. So you can see that Swipe is making higher highs, higher lows. You can also see it on DIA. You can pretty much see it on many of those altcoins. Another example is Telor, which is also an oracle, which pretty much, and I'll just erase all the stuff that I have here, which is already showing continuation of the bull trend. Also the 100 MA and 200 MA flipping as support, higher lows, higher highs, critical level supporting here, through which it's very likely that we're going to just start expanding and starting to accelerate, as there's not been any bull cycle yet for Telor. And you can just see it all across the market actually, that many altcoins are going to run. So where's the money to be made right now in the coming period, in which altcoins are going to do well or Bitcoin is going to do well? I think Bitcoin will be consolidating, just a sideways period in which we get compression, and after that or during that period, altcoins will do really, really well. So you should focus on them. You should also subscribe to this YouTube channel to be sure, and follow me on Instagram, like this video and comment, and I'll be back tomorrow with a fresh new update. And stay tuned. Smile, enjoy life, have patience, be disciplined, be consistent, and that's the road to financial freedom. See you tomorrow.